Welcome to our video on the topic of motion fusion. Here we can see the interface of the program Neat 4 Professional. Let's load one of our sample projects. The first sample project up here, that'll help us explain all this very nicely. What we can see in this image is an empty street in a scene in a city with a harbour on the right. And we're currently in the image post-processing area here. This is the post-processing area, and the fusion calculation, this motion fusion, takes place in the edit image sequence area. Let's click on that, and then we're brought to the area for this motion fusion calculation. Just to explain what this is all about, the professional version of this program lets you not only remove movement from the photo subject, but also make movement visible. So it works both ways. For this purpose, on the left hand side here we have our loaded image sequence. This is a sequence of photos that are then aligned by the program. You can also shoot them manually. Simply use your camera to take a sequence of images. It helps for the spacing between the images to be a bit longer because the motion detection works better, or if you can also just take more pictures. In this example we have 10 images, and we can see that here in the view for the image sequence, this is the image weighting, which I'll explain in just a moment. And down here we have a timeline. Here you can see how these photos were taken one after the other. Right next to each individual image you can see a black and white grayscale representation of your image, which we call the weighting map. This indicates the areas where the image is heavily incorporated into the fusion result and where it isn't as much. And if we go through them, we can see that it's a very algorithmic masking that, and you can see this on the right side, depends on which algorithm you've used. Let's reset that for a moment. Here we have the long time exposure algorithm. This makes everything look like a long exposure, the image sequence. And then there are different methods that try to analyze the photos and filter out and eliminate the motion. Let's take a look at the mask here. In the first multi-pass algorithm, we can very clearly see that the individual areas have been filtered out significantly, and in the image itself that these areas are exactly where the vehicles are driving down here. And this automatic filtering feature has cleared the road accordingly. That also works, for example, when you're standing in front of a landmark, you're taking a picture of a famous landmark. Just take a longer sequence of images, load the sequence in here, and the motion is effectively eliminated in the sequence. You can simply click on the different algorithms for removing motion and see the result. Then you can decide which algorithm works best for the sequence of images you took. Unfortunately, you can't say that one algorithm or another is always the best. You have to actually try them out, which is why we have so many available here. And if you see minor artifacts like these ones up here in the sky, we've built in some algorithms, soft and very soft, that let you get a nice soft image even in a sky like this, and to remove motion in this way. This motion removal feature is just one side of the coin. The professional version of the program can also do the other. That is, it can make motion visible. So all the motion that was visible in the motif is incorporated into the photo. And now we see the inverse weighting images. They're not exactly inversed, but they have an inversing effect. And here all vehicles that are moving are therefore marked in light. That means they are more heavily incorporated into the fusion. There are various algorithms here, and we can see how the result changes. Here too, there are algorithms that make it soft to create the impression of a long exposure, but a slightly enhanced long exposure. Let's compare that with our original long exposure. We can see nothing or practically nothing of the vehicles. If we click Add Motion, Soft, the individual objects are more clearly calculated out. That's the principle of motion fusion, where many images are fused into one while analysing the motion in the photos. By the way, you can also import videos into the program. They are then converted into an image sequence and loaded here. It's very easy to import sequences with 1,000 images or more. It just depends on how much memory you have available. So this is the Motion Fusion feature in Neat 4, and whenever you load a motion sequence, you are brought here to post-processing, image post-processing, where you can do things such as selecting presets or using various modules. But we'll take a closer look at them in a separate video. For instance, there are separate videos for the row module, for selective drawing, and for the color module. We also have LUT styles and so on and so forth. There are loads of videos for you to watch there. I hope you enjoy trying out the new features. See you next time.